This $1 million house is supposed to cost me $1,032 per week, but thanks to a series of events, my out-of-pocket weekly cost has now dropped down to $78.01. So here's what happened. Back in 2012, I was a banking consultant and I met several people that were still working past retirement age in order to pay their rent. So it really got me thinking how important it is to reduce housing costs in life. And my initial plan was to buy a house and pay it off over 30 years. What felt like it would never happen slowly started becoming a reality when in 2019 we found this house. When we walked up to the gate to greet the real estate agent, she looked at us and she said, "Come on in guys, have a look, but my colleague is just driving to the vendor because we just received an offer, so perhaps if the sale falls through, you can always put in a backup offer." And after losing out on 4 properties we really liked, we were already devastated first home buyers, I looked at my partner and I said, let's just put an offer in before her colleague gets to the vendor, and we'll just put our best foot forward, which is $1 million, and see what happens. Wow, what just happened here? 5 minutes ago we were driving down this driveway looking for a first home, and potentially we're homeowners now. Later that night we got the phone call to say that our offer has been accepted. And then the doubt kicked in. What if we've overpaid? What if the neighbors are bad? What if it was a drug house? What have we just done? Due to this crazy property market, we had to buy this property within less than 10 minutes and without even seeing it properly. But overall, I was happy because 7 years ago, I set myself a goal. I want to buy a house in order to have a comfortable retirement and not having to work past 65 in order to pay my rent. But the next morning I woke up and I wanted to understand how much is that drug house with the bad neighbor that I've overpaid for actually going to cost me. So to give you guys some background, our house cost us $1 million minus our deposit, which is $100,000, came to a $900,000 mortgage. I went online and had a quick look at what the best 1-year rate is. It was 3.45%, so it worked out to be about $926 per week. On top of that, we had to factor in insurance, which is $20 a week, and property rates and taxes, they call it, $50 a week, and some maintenance costs. So it came to a grand total of $1,032. I mean, working for a bank, obviously I knew what I was getting into, but still seeing that figure on a piece of paper was a bit of a shock. But we really didn't have any options because as a first home buyers, you've just used up all your cash and yeah, you just gotta suck it up. I've given you a lot of background information, but watch the video until the end because you'll see that it will all piece together. Later that month, we moved into the property and we also got to know our bad neighbors. Just kidding, they're actually extremely friendly neighbors, and they shared that the previous owner of our house was actually an old lady that sadly passed away, and that's why the property got sold. So cool, we're not dealing with bad neighbors nor a drug house, just a ghost. They've also shared that they converted their garage into a living area. And that got me thinking, I wonder if our garage could help us pay our mortgage. So I went online and I had a quick look at what 1-bedroom apartments are going for in my area, and to my surprise the average rental per week was $400 to $500. Knowing that converting our garage into a 1-bedroom apartment could potentially save me $500 or 50% of my mortgage repayment, I didn't waste any time and I called an architect to see if this would be a possibility. The architect gave us the thumbs up, so I thought I'll get some quotes, and this is what I got back. How am I going to find $70,000 to $100,000? Thankfully, I work for a bank and there is a way how to unlock finance even if you haven't got any equity left in the property, and that is called tentative on completion valuation. Before I explain you that, I just need to give you a quick crash course. So I want to explain to you guys some basic lending principles. Sometimes for first home buyers, they will let you borrow 90% of the house with a 10% deposit, which was the case with our scenario. Now the problem is that obviously we're maxed out in terms of equity. We can't pull out any more lending out of this house because we're already at the top of the band. So basically we need to wait until the value of our house increases to at least $1,125,000 before we can even consider borrowing more money. That would give us $225,000 in equity, or 20% of the house, and we would have $900,000 debt. If you want to borrow more money but you don't have enough equity, if you're adding value to the house, chances is that the bank will actually not consider the value as of today, but they will base the loan application on the future value of the house. Now that's where the tentative on completion valuation kicks in. Let me show you how that works. So in my case, if the garage costs me $100,000 to convert, that should add at least $100,000 value to my house. So my as of complete value should be $1,225,000. Now the bank will lend 80% of $1,225,000, so that's $980,000. Obviously, we still have our debt of $900,000, so we can potentially borrow $80,000 to complete our garage conversion. But before we can do that, our house needs to go up in value by at least $125,000. So I had a plan in mind. I knew that my property just needs to increase by $125,000, and at that point in time I probably should be able to hopefully do the garage conversion. So there's two ways how you can increase the value of your property. So the number one option is the lazy one. You can just wait to see if the value goes up over time, so it can be between 1 and 10 years. Or the second way is just to add value to the property yourself, which we did. Every waking hour after work on weekends renovating our house. We touched every single surface. I've actually made a separate video on how to renovate a house for less than $10,000. So it's time to see if our plan of adding value to the property in order to leverage against it and get some more money out to do this project worked. And thankfully the market worked in our favor, and this is what the bank valued our property, less than 12 months of us purchasing this house. Now this is just crazy to think that my house has increased $200,000 in value over a span of 12 months, but thanks to that my plan worked out and we were able to go ahead with the garage conversion. I'm actually in the middle of it right now as we speak. It will be done in about 4 weeks time, so I'll be uploading a video of my garage conversion step by step. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on these videos. But how did I actually get my mortgage repayment from $1,000 down to $78? So a few things happened after that. First of all, my partner got made redundant thanks to COVID. And as a result, we're able to switch the mortgages down to interest only. So that saved us about $400 in outgoings per week from memory. Because of that, we are no longer able to borrow money from the bank, so we had to use other investments to fund this build. And then the second thing that happened was that my rate came off from 3.45 down to 2.45, so that saved me another over $100 per week. So all these three things together, the garage conversion, the rate that has dropped, and switching my mortgage to interest only, now means that my outgoing is $78 per week, at least for the next 2 years. Once I go back to principal and interest, my weekly outgoings will be around $500 per week. So it's still a massive 50% saving on my mortgage. And I think it's well worth it converting my garage, because I have two options now. With the extra money I'm gaining from this garage conversion, I can either lower my rent cost, which I'm doing at the moment, or I can actually increase my mortgage repayment and pay off my mortgage in about half the time. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. You've learned something about finance or thinking outside the box. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'll be working on my next video, which is the drain laying of the garage conversion. I'll be uploading that video shortly, so make sure to check back in for that video.